folks. Welcome back to the Sales World channel, the NBC network, with your host, Hurricane H. New day, new show. You hear it, Sales World. That means we're going to talk sales, we're going to talk coaching, we're going to talk mindset, we're going to talk business. And again, it happened that, some weeks we just have a streak of sales, shows. Some weeks are mental health, some weeks are fitness, you name it. I don't plan it that way. It happens that people book it, and we're here. But today I have with me Ben Brown, and he's a sales coach, and he helps entrepreneurs, business people, with performance and all the stuff that helps you get better at whatever you do in business, right? So, Ben, welcome to the show, man.
Hi, good morning to you. How's everything?
Everything is well, and I guess peachy. The New Year is here. I mean, we take it one day at a time. We try to get success, in a way, and that's about it. I mean, try to keep healthy, keep everything going. So, I guess the same question to you: how's everything going so far in the new year?
Long as we can keep hurricane out of Florida, we're good to go.
Ah, well, you can't keep me out in anywhere, man. That's a good one. All right, I love it. We're gonna have some fun today, folks. As you can see, we had some, comedy going on. It's like I'm gonna go to comedy hour sales, but you know what? You have to have a little bit of fun, in this business that we do. And in the sales world, it gets a little tough, right? So a little bit of levity, a little bit of fun, a little bit of charisma, all these things, do make a difference. But so Ben, as always, let's get you introduced to our, crowd and audiences around the world. Now, I introduced you as a sales coach, but let's talk about what do you do, and why you do it, and how long you've been doing it.
Well, I started in the sales business in 1994. So this year being going on 30 years. So anyway, so I started back in the days in the gym business after I came out of the Marine Corps. And I started my coaching business about 5 years ago. So the evolution that I changed lately in the last 2 years is to get the benefit from my students. I had to change a lot of mindset training to get them to understand how important a sales skill is. And so I implemented work with some other individuals who changed my branding to a life coach on top, because sales is everywhere. And so I put my clients into a fitness type deal where we do the training, the food, the nurturing, all of this to get you mentally prepared, because my first step in my sales process is getting prepared. So if a person is not prepared, don't even step into the arena or on the field. Mainly is, if you're not prepared for sales, don't do it, because you will make a muck of it and you will lose money and you will hate yourself. And so step number one is, are you prepared? And that's mentally, right? And so mindset is huge for a lot of individuals, because I had to find out, I can tell you what to do to be successful, but I had to find out why you're not selling. And if I could find that out, that's my difference, is finding out why you're not selling, then it's easier for you to sell than just telling you to sell. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, first of all, simplify.
Ah,
You have to. I mean, you did your bit, and we thank you for that.
yes.
And now you said 94. I beat you by 1 year. I started 93 in sales. So there you go. There you go.
I got
Proud
a
of
coin
you.
for you. Give me your address. I'll send it to you, buddy.
All right. No problem. I'll take it. Well, so I love what you said, that you started in sales, and again it was in, I guess, fitness world. About, that's kind of like where it started for you, and you went into more of the sales training mindset, the life coach, and all the stuff as you stated. So one thing I want to ask is, like, how do you define mindset in your, because you've covered it, you've talked about it or mentioned it a couple of times. So let's go there. How do you define mindset? I mean, obviously it's a word that everybody knows, and but what does that mean, right? And that can, be an argument there, like, well, my mindset is, it is what it is, it's who I am, blah blah blah. What would you say to people that might have that thought about it?
Well, we've been through the Marine Corps, which is the biggest mindset that you basically have to be in that, because that's why we're the few to proud. People don't understand unless you're in there what mental capacity you have to do that. It takes a different mindset to understand that you're running into the fire and it's part of your nature. So you're trained to do that. Years later, when I take deficit in mindset, when I went through my divorce, when I realized my marriage is over, my mindset was crushed for a year and a half. I mean, I was like on the point of like, why should I exist? Because my mindset was part of my family. My family was not going to exist anymore. And and that's the reason why I do what I do, is because people that are in pain or hurt don't understand why. And even though, we both probably have PTSD, but it's another added level of that for people to do, because they're getting crushed and they don't know why. Um, they're being told different things, they're experiencing things, they're experiencing feelings that they shouldn't, some they should. So, being able to put that into, you should be impenetrable. As you know, as we felt when we came out of boot camp, there was nothing to be stopped. Our mindset was golden at that point. When you got in the fleet, it changed. Alcohol is a powerful drug. So, you, you realize that you were not impenetrable. And so getting people to understand that one of the things, having mentors is key. You can't do it by yourself, whether you're in business or in life. You can't. Either you got a preacher, you got a mother, uncle. I mean, a lot of people don't have people anymore. I mean, we don't have families the way we used to. Everybody's individual. So by having a mindset coach keeps you understanding that in order to get through this life, you got to feel like you're impenetrable and you can't be affected. Entrepreneurship is one thing. It's I tell people entrepreneurship is just a leadership of failures. I just shut down a company I had for a year. I'm in like massive amount of debt on the company, but it was a failure that I did. And I don't look at it as a negative. It's a learning experience, right? Most people would crawl, couldn't even take it. If I took everything away from you, who would you be? Your mindset. So one of the things I teach is you have to understand nothing means nothing. Nothing means nothing unless you give it meaning. And that's what helped me through my divorce, which was crushing. It was just like, oh my goodness, I had to realize all these different things because I attached everything with emotion. And most time in a divorce, that's the first time a man really feels that emotional because he's losing everything. And there's nothing you could do about it. And so, learning from that, when I started working with students, I implemented that into my training and it became more effective.
Well, there's quite a bit in there. So first of all, that again, going back to your boot camp and training and the Marine, business is not easy business. As you said, you're trained to go into the fire. You train, as hard as you can because you got to be that elite, bunch that makes it happen, right? And it is anybody that's been in the military or anything that's close enough to discipline, levels, which martial arts can be that way. That's another way. Those are things that take with you forever, right? They stay with you. And it takes a whole different, as you said, mindset to be one of those folks, right? Because it's almost like a reboot of your brain of who you really are, and reset, on a particular way. And then when you come out of it, that's the other thing. I mean, you have to reset again. And some of it is there, some of it is, there's a lot of stuff you pick up, good and bad, and you have to like filter all this stuff on. And of course, life becomes very difficult. And we've heard stories about people coming out of service where they can't adjust to regular life because it's just a whole different. I mean, everything is aligned. It's very rigid, as a system. And you come back to a loose society, like do loosey goosey, do whatever you want. It doesn't always apply. And so adjusting again, it's another one. So you have to tweak your mind and how you think about things, how you compartmentalize everything, and it becomes very difficult at first. Now, obviously, you were past that. You've conquered that part. However, again, I'm not sure the circumstances of the divorce, but life also throws in, little, fun stuff at you. I'm gonna leave it at that. And it's, by the way, everybody watching, listen now, you said it. Everybody's got some sort of PTSD from some, live level, and we all have a little bit of challenge in life, no matter how you do it. Right? Things
Right.
happen. You give the example of business. You start a business. People think that's like, oh yeah, well, business is not easy, and people take a chance. It's calculated, risks and stuff. But at the end of the day, you might go through with something, you might stop that something. But at the end of the day, I love what you said. Again, that's actually mindset 101. It's how you look at things, right? You have a business opportunity. Yeah, it didn't materialize, but it is a learned experience. You learned a few things, how not to do certain things, how to do them different, to do them better, what to do next time, and so on and so forth. So actually, if you look at it that way, you haven't failed anything. You just actually experience new things, new experiences. You learn new things, and it makes you better the next time. And you're going to come in at whatever is going to come up to you the next one in a better light, because now you're prepared. As you said, the keyword preparation. Life doesn't prepare you for everything. We think that we are prepared. I mean, you said something very powerful that we've lost today: family values, people that are actually there. We're different than what we used to be. Everybody's kind of, as you said, individualized today. You're in your own world, right? Everybody's in own silo. uh Back in the days, and again, I mean, you started early on, so I'm assuming we're about just the same age. The concept here is that we had families, and people, you had advice, you had your elders, that give you the stuff, they coach you, like, hey son, this is what you do, uncle, father, mother, whoever. But you had people, even at clubs and stuff, or parks and stuff, you had these coaches and mentors. You were in a soccer team, or football team, or baseball team. Somebody was there, like, always giving you some advice, and you pick those things, and you have these big brother concepts or big sister concepts, and they work, right? But now it's like everybody's like, they don't want to hear from anyone. Nobody wants to get involved with anyone because they're afraid that they tell you something. Oh, you told me that, it's your fault. So nobody wants to get in that, responsibility status, and therefore they don't do it. So people are kind of left off to do their own thing. In your case, you again, when you go, for example, to any military, level, you do have a different, format, right, of life, because now you have your superiors, you have your ranking officers, you have a particular stuff, you're working as a team. It's a live, live or die kind of situation in some of these, scenarios. So it's a different way of applying. And now again, that transforms the person, but at least it gives you a belonging to a community, to stuff, and it helps you. And the preparation in life, if you don't have those I guess, backgrounds, or like those foundations, you're gonna be like fending for yourself. I mean, you're just gonna be doing things and trying to figure out things, and it's a little harder. And when it's harder, people tend to not do good. And so I love what you said about all that, because you're right. Even if we take it to the basic sales, right? If you're not prepared about your customer, your client, your product, you got all the tools that you need before you even, and what is this person looking for, and so on and so forth. You're not going to be able to deliver a good presentation. You're not going to be able to handle objections. You're not going to be able to close them for whatever it is that you do. Whether it's fitness, whether it's products, services, is the same thing. Corporate, it doesn't matter. But preparation is the first thing. I mean, prepare, fail to plan, plan to fail, as they say, right? That's it. Or I have the 5 P's: prior planning prevents poor performance, right? So
Right.
these things apply, and they apply to life, they apply to business, they apply to everything. So thank you for sharing those things. And again, it's shifting, the visual. Like, you can look at a situation in a complete, negative way, or you can turn it into a positive way. You can turn an experience into a bad thing or in a good thing. And situations, they have both. Any situation, you'll find that there is two ways, two angles to it. And it's just how you look at things, right? I can be here, or
Right.
I can be here. It's a choice that we make, folks. And if we make the wrong one, you will suffer. It's simple. Life sucks after that. Like nothing big, you're looking at everything as dark, everything that's not really peachy. Like we started with the peachy earlier. Life becomes very like, oh my God, right? However, if you choose, to look at the bright side, as we say, you'll see the bright side. And again, it is a switch in the mind and in the
Right.
will. And so it can change that. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, you've experienced these things, and you decided to, I mean, again, the divorce happened, and you're right, I mean, that's a tough one. uh you mentioned something in there that you said that, sometimes you even entertained, why am I in this life, right? And actually, that's a very dangerous spot, right? When someone gets to that extreme point where you're like, do I deserve to be here? Why it's happening to me? And you get all these evil thoughts that come through your mind, like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be here. You know, we don't want to go there, folks. You just want to be in these kind of shows, kind of hopefully highlight this, that you're not the only one that's going through this. That there's millions of us every day that going through tough times. Everybody. If you look
Right.
at them, rich, poor, what I mean, those are just statuses that we think. I mean, rich is an attribute. You could be rich not necessarily with money. You could be rich with intellect, with family, with love and stuff, and you can be poor, the same way, or even financially. So it doesn't matter. Usually, when we say rich and poor, we talk financials, but it's not necessarily the case. The bottom line is, whatever the status that you are in life, you are actually having some sort of a challenge on a day-to-day basis, a weekly basis. Something is going to give. Life is not a very smooth ride. There is no cruising here. You're going to have bumps, a lot of turbulence, and it's just how you do it. And it's funny because you talk to a pilot, they say turbulence is good. If there's no challenge, the flight is
Right.
boring, right? Well, life is just like that. So we need to actually have those things. So Ben, I kind of re, opened up and unpacked a little bit what you said, but so let's expand on all of that. Now you work with individuals, and I love what you said that you go from, you added more the live coaching as well. So you operate as a mentor, as a coach, and as someone who gives guidance, right? So let's talk about that process. How do you really work with someone, and how do you get them from not really feeling good to like feeling great?
First thing is vibration,
Ooh, I
right?
like it.
So the main thing is that most people are not vibrating and they're getting affected by everything. So that's where it comes into place that working out and nutrition is the basis for everything. Because if you don't feel good, you're not going to do good. And so I implemented that about 2 years ago. To work with me, you need to be in some type of a workout program and nutritional program because the stuff that we intake into our bodies, a lot of negativity, a lot of visual negativity on the phone, a lot of hearing negativity when we listen to the news, and also some of the food negativity, right? Because we don't have the food we used to have 30, 40 years ago. So all of this is a starting point to reboot where you've been. When I went through my tragedy in my divorce, I'm not a big dude, but I dropped 30 pounds. Guys was like, they see me like a rail. Like, what happened? Like, you couldn't eat. You go through all of these different type of deals. I have a group of about 160 guys I serve with in the Marine Corps. And just before we on, I had one of my brothers call me. We check on each other. I started this years ago. I didn't have to, but we've had a number of reunions since that time frame, and I've done 3 of them where I just got the guys together, and just in that accord, having guys to make sure, because the suicide rate on that, and I've lost a couple, is high, because main thing is that we always feel that we're alone, right? So the vibration of I shouldn't be around people, I don't feel good enough, I don't feel great enough, and it all comes back to yourself. Nobody's going to give it to you, not a spouse, not your children. So if you have that to be the best person that you possibly can be, then you layer on top the skills of selling, you're impenetrable. That's why I call it, top dogs. My group I call top dogs. You want to be top dog? You got to be ready. You got to be ready and prepared to go out there and take the nose and take. So how are you going to be a salesperson when your confidence? Because what I teach is all these sayings that I do. 80% of sales is confidence. So if you're not confident, it's not for you, right? Because you'll think about, oh, this person said this or said that. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's no meaning. You're just moving a product. And you have to like or love the product that you're doing. If you don't like it, love it, leave it. That's what I teach. Do you like it? Do you love it? Well, kind of go, it's not going to work. So you're going to force yourself to push something that you don't like or love to people who are going to tell you no, and your confidence level is like at a 20, it ain't going to work.
Recipe for disaster,
It's,
huh?
it's, it's running your head into a brick wall. It's like, you 130-pound offensive lineman. It's not going to work. So, the main thing is analyzing this, building up the vibration, the confidence level, because, you like you said, I'm a very shy person. I don't talk a lot. Huh. So anyway, you got to.
Ah, man, that's really. Let me think about that for a second. Good.
So, it's one of those things. I had a customer of mine. I trained. I still work with her still today. She had a business for 20 years, $1 million business doing books. I taught her. She came, found me on LinkedIn. I taught her. I told her how long it's going to take for you to understand what I'm trying to teach you. Then we practice it and then we do it. And I want you to write down every dollar amount that you made based upon what we learned, so you could see the value of what you paid for. So 3 months later, it came to like $175,000 she made by learning sales. She never learned sales. So she made an extra $175,000. I was like, great. I was like, good. Program worked. She was like, you know what? I don't want to do it.
Okay.
I know how to do it. I don't want to do it. Her confidence level is just it's just one of those people that constantly has to be reinforced on a regular basis. They can't sustain it on their own. Right? There's a client I'm working with right now. This is my third time working with them because you need that maintenance, right? One, I have two mentors. One I've been working with for 3 years. Every 2 weeks, we're on the phone for an hour, getting that adjustment, right? Chiropractor, getting that adjustment. So when you think you can go out there and do it on your own, and you assume all these different things, it's eventually you're going to burn out. And so understanding these things on a regular basis in the beginning from somebody who is damaged, somebody who's in pain, somebody who thinks there's nothing out there for them, nobody's giving them any positive reinforcement, is saving lives, is what I do, right? Saving lives and saving businesses, basically.
Well, believe it or not, businesses, it's funny because this happens all the time where I get, this question about, well, you into health and, what does that have to do with, or what does business have to do with health rather? And, you just said it. I mean, if you're investing all your work and your time and your money and everything into a business that doesn't make it, guess what? It's going to give you stress. It's going to give you a heartache. It's going to give you heartburns. It's going to give you every single negative thing in your physical aspect and mental aspect, which basically is detrimental to your health. And therefore, you can actually wind up in a bad place. You can even have suicidal thoughts and things like that. So it's very dangerous. It's all linked. So I love what you said, the vibrations, right? You got to vibe correctly. You have to have the right frequency. You have to up there. You got to get there, right? And some people are just kind of have a low vibration, low frequency, and you got to like really pump them up, like pump up the volume, baby. You got to get that spike, right? But to get there, you got to get them really enlightened to everything, right? To see their potential. A lot of us, I mean, and myself included, we all are, nobody's perfect. We don't have everything in life. We
I'm
cannot be.
perfect. Hold on, I'm perfect.
All right, good. All right. You know what? Then we're gonna have to list all the things that you do to make perfection happen, right? So we can all copy from you. But that's exactly right. But that's a good point because we think we are. See, the average person thinks that I got this. I mean, I have everything, but that's the wrong thing. We think we have everything, and therefore we fail things because we could have easily learned a couple of tricks that we didn't have to go through the hardship to actually learn, because we could have bypassed that and, really, saved us time, money, energy, stress, the whole nine, right? So that's an important piece. I love what you said that you incorporate healthy habits such as eating well and being physically fit. And that's something that you would find that when and again, we're on social media, this is a talk show, a podcast, whatever you want to call it, and if you look at if you're on social media, obviously you're going to be looking at a lot of clips and reels from Simon Sinek and all these real pumping folks that actually when you hear them you get all excited, right? All these influencers, right? And when you hear that, they all have the same concept that they keep punching and pushing to us, and that is very simple. You need to have all these things in place. Your physical aspect has to be there. So there is always encouragement to get fit and be fit and do, movement and activity, have a regimen of sports of a thing, whether a lot of people are into martial arts, BJJ or any type of form of stuff, activities, football, sports, something to keep you pumped. hit the gym on a day-to-day basis, have an actual schedule from the morning to the afternoon, eat right, the right nutrients for your mind, for your body, for all the stuff. If you have all that stuff correct, then your body is able to function better. And I love, so that was one piece that is important. And sometimes we lose that in business. We get so caught up in the business hustle that we give up, on our main business, which is us. Because here's the thing: no health, no business. Your mental status is mental state is really down, in the drain. You're gonna be drained. You're not gonna have the stamina to continue business or even working for someone or a corporation or anybody. Even a job can be draining if you don't have the mental capacity, right? The physical capacity is the other one. I'm not talking about manual labor and, in general, work, brain or physical, it still takes a lot of toll on the body. And if you're not prepared, you're not strong enough physically, it will again drain you, and therefore the results and the performance will be down. Again, as I introduced you earlier, we talked about your performance coach. You help people perform on high. You give the example of the lady that you worked with her, and boom, you have 175,000 additional dollars that just came in and manifested through application of what you've trained her on. Now, you talked about the concept of you gotta love what you do. If you don't like it, you don't love it, leave it. I love that. You know, three L's, right? The three L's. So the three L's, I guess, work. Love it, like it, or leave it. And frankly, that's exactly right. You cannot possibly, especially in this business of sales. I mean, sales to sales, right? We work with people, and you have to be able, and you get objections, you get, the no's, you get all the stuff. It's a number game. There's pressure, there's numbers, there's stuff. But if you don't enjoy what you do, and you don't believe in what you do or your product or your service, you're not even convinced yourself. How can you possibly convince somebody else? Let's just be honest, folks. And that's really how it is. If you don't understand what you're selling, why you're selling, and you're doing it for the wrong reason, I just want a paycheck or it's the right thing because he's going to make me money. You can only do it, and people will read through your bullshit eventually, and then that's it. That ends the story there. Or you're gonna burn up so quick that you're gonna have to change in the actual whole career path at a point. Or you're going to have stress and, literally you can wind up with a heart attack, for example, or some stroke. And it happens, people, when they get too much pressure, we are physical beings, right? You will put
Right.
enough pressure that it will deteriorate something in your body. You don't want that. Stress is a killer. And stress, brings in a lot of bad things to your health, right? You can binge eating, you can drop your workout and forget about it. Now you gain weight. I love what you said, the analogy, like I lost 30 pounds. I look like a rail. I mean, imagine that, folks. I mean, sometimes stress can really drain you badly, right? Or the opposite. You can just go nuts and just keep shoving stuff and just, you don't care anymore. And then your health goes south again. Whatever you do, these things are all tied in. Eat healthy, physically healthy, mindset healthy, structure healthy, prepared healthy. Everything else, I love what you do. Now, again, we hear this over and over from everyone. Probably heard it in multiple shows. If you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to be, successful. If you love what you're doing, you never work a day, right? So that's it. So you have passion and love for what you do. You wake up. I call them TGIMs. You have a TGIM instead of a TGIF in your book.
Yes.
In your book, you're good. You wake up Mondays. Yeah, baby, Monday is here. If you wake up, oh my God, it's Monday. I can't wait for Friday. Then you got a problem.
Yeah.
Time for you to reset. Or again, get a mentor, get someone to assist, listen to a podcast, get a book, learn something new to help you get through that, navigate through the system. So what else, Ben? Let's talk more about your work. And by the way, just before we go there, you talked about the how people sometimes, they just don't have that line that is consistent, right? The consistency. They go up, like you help someone, she was able to get this, but she couldn't do it again because it just didn't vibe well. And that's the other thing. People sometimes need the maintenance. All of us, by the way, outside of the mind, the minute you kind of like, you're like this, and then you need somebody to bring it up, you bring somebody up, and so on and so forth. And that somebody can be anybody, right? I love what you said. You have these reunions to keep each other tight, right? To keep reminding each other like who you are, what you do, and reinforcing that nice spirit, that nice vibration, that nice frequency to keep everybody aligned. And that goes for everyone. I mean, everybody has an entourage or people you love, you want to help, but you need that too. Sometimes we look at everybody else, but not here. We all need some of this help as well. And so you need to surround yourself with people such as yourself, Ben, to assist and guide us. We all need a little bit of a pat on the shoulder. And even for those of us that are so alpha that we don't believe anybody can, make a difference in our lives, we do need that. We're not unique. What do you think of that?
You said a lot. You're rolling, man. You're like a preacher. You're
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, I
So,
love this. I mean, by the way, this is a reminder for myself as well. Every time I
yeah.
talk about it, it actually sinks into my subconscious. It becomes part of me. So I appreciate you, man.
Well, the important part is a mentor that trigger the mind to change your mindset. So I'll give you a major example with when I went through my divorce, the depression, and everything that I went through, and certain things trigger certain things, like nothing means nothing. And one of the things that got me out of my situation, because in your marriage, it's a possession for most people. It's my wife, my kids, my marriage, and realizing that the way life works, that doesn't exist. So the statement that actually helped me, like finding the correlation between the pain and what gets them out of that pain, sometimes takes a little bit of playing with for people to understand when they say, now I understand. So one of the guys finally told me that just knocked me over my head. I'm going through all of this pain. Um, he said, I'm gonna tell you two things. Your wife is not your life. And I was like, whoa, like that. And he said, she's never yours, it's just your turn. And when he said that to me, I mean, 2 years in, and I'm like, wow, and it took me to break that statement down. And then he came back and broke it down for me. I'm like, oh, so I've been looking at this the whole time in the wrong kind of way. And what it does, it gets me out of, because the main thing that gets people out of is fear and anger. And that was a lot of it. And I had to understand to face the fear and deal with the anger and then just be. And just being that was just good enough for me and good enough for everyone else. And so just finding that resolution, that island in the middle of the water was just, people in the beginning, it was dark. And I said, this tunnel gets very small. You think there's nothing there. And then, 2 years after the revelation, I could see a little light and it just kept coming close. And people kept telling me there was a light. And I'm like, I don't see a light. I don't see anything. I went through depression years before that, where I was in groups and I had phone calls for mental health deals because of PTSD, right? And so that's something I had to deal with earlier on as well. You think there's no light. And so if you're talking to the right people and they're giving you some semblance of help in steps, because people want instant gratification, and that's what drugs and alcohol does. It instantly takes you away from the pain. It makes life a whole lot better until the next time around. And then it's just a temporary fix. And that's why people have the 12 steps and all this, because now you're dependent on something to get you away from what you really need to deal with. Right. And so if you really deal with it, I mean, we're Marines. So, I mean, I could have been an alcoholic like that. Like I could have went into the bottle easy because I drink successfully. What we say? Drink so, but like right now I don't drink as much. I mean, you're getting older and stuff like that, but having the revelation that there's somebody there that's going to show you the light and show you that it's not over, and make you accountable for the things that you need to put the step forward to move towards that light. That's what a lot of people need. We don't have that nowadays. We don't have families. We don't have reunions as much anymore. We have a bunch of individuals where everybody has an opinion. And there's no structure. There's no parenthoods like it used to be. There's nobody telling you what not to do. Everybody can do whatever they want, but until the consequences come in. And when the consequences come in, Hurricane, you're the only one that's going to take it.
That's right. Everybody's like, oh, that's the thing. Like everything has consequences, right?
Right,
cause and effect. And then when you
right.
have that final, destination for you, you'll find yourself like, what the hell? I mean, because no one's gonna take your pain, no one's gonna
No,
take your suffering, no one's gonna deal with your finances. It's really our decisions are the driver behind, our lives, right?
Right.
And I love whoever that person was, brilliant. I mean, listen, I'm married, you're if you find the right partner, that's great, but sometimes that doesn't work that way, right?
Right.
And so it doesn't end with, just that relationship. You can restart your life anytime for you and for that person. Didn't work out, good, you move on. But again, it takes a little bit of agility to the mind to understand that. Sometimes you're so stuck, like, oh no, I can't live without you, right? And then that's it. Everything is like pitch black and it's like really bad. And you said it best, is that you could not see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yet there was always light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, they call it a tunnel because it has two sides. If it's not, it will be a hole. Really, think about it, right? Or even a hole, you can have the other side. But think about it, it will be just like, a drop in the land, right?
Well,
You have, yeah.
here's a scenario I tell people, and this is
Mm.
like real cool. So when you go through something like that in a marriage, and I tell people how dark it is because I do analogies better than anyone else to make people understand.
Nunca
So
sabe.
so the way I put it in pain wise is that you and your wife and your kids are going down to the lake, and it's a beautiful lake, and it's a beautiful day, and it goes down and it has a dock on the lake, and it's birds out there, and you see people out there on boats and everything. So you decide to go down towards the lake and go to the dock. The children are playing on the side, they're playing not on the dock but on the grass by the bank, and you and the wife decide to go down to walk down the dock. Guys, let's see what it looks like. So you go down there, you're holding hands, whatever, everything's good. And this is how life really works sometimes. So you're down at the end of the dock, you're sitting there, you're looking around, you step up, you take a look, you look around, all of a sudden there's a push at your back, and you realize that you're in the water. So you're like, I'm in the water. Like, how did I get here? I have my shoes on. I'm not a really good swimmer, nothing to really be concerned about. So as you're starting to tread water, trying to come up to the top, you're coming up, you start realizing that it's not what you think it is. You're starting to drown. As you come up, you look up at your wife, and she's just standing there with her arms just looking at you. And so you're like, there's no help coming around, and you're like, oh, these shoes are on, and I'm like not a strong swimmer, and I'm getting further and further away from the dock, and I'm just like, holy mackerel, I'm out here alone. As you come up the next time, about the third time you come up, she's on the dock, sitting on the dock, swinging her legs, looking at you. So you're like, wait a minute, what's going on? I'm getting tired. All these things are coming at, chaos is coming. I'm just getting up, getting my water, and I can just see her barely as I'm just coming up every time, just get air. And I'm just ducking and moving like that. So as you do that, you come up, you start realizing like, hey, it's starting to set in the panic. If I don't get out of the situation, something's going to happen. As you come up the next time, you realize you see her get up, and then she starts walking away back from the end of the dock. And then as you come up the next time, you realize there's another person at the end of the dock. And then as you come up again, they run together and meet. Now you're still in the water and you're drowning, and you like, oh my goodness, like all of this is happening just like that. So you have a couple decisions to make in your life. You're in a lot of pain, you're in a lot of anger, your muscles are getting tired, you can't breathe as well. You have to make those decisions. How are you going to move on? So one of the main things you got to understand is you have two choices. You have three choices, actually. You can give up and go under. You can either go back to the dock, which is the quickest route to getting out of the water. But if you get back on the dock, you got to go back through them. Or you do the hard thing, suck it up, pull your pants up, and then swim back to the children, which is the hardest thing to do, because swimming back to the dock is not going to solve the problem. So you have to swim around them and go back to the children. And so that's where you have to have the mental aspect of saying, I need a little help just to get back, because the children is the most important thing. That happened. There's nothing I can do about it, and you got to move on. And that is the pain that most people go. So after you go through something like that, when I look at TV shows or the news and I see domestic violence, I know why they do what they do, because of the pain. They decided to go back to the dock, but you can't go back to the dock, right? So the quickest way to get out of your pain is to go back to the dock. You got to deal with your pain and go back to the bank. And that's what people really have to do. And they don't know that.
Ben, well, first of all, that's a very deep analogy and descriptive. And by the way, that goes for male and female folks. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it could be the other way around.
Oh,
A guy
yeah.
pushes a girl, and the same thing happened. Relationships are going both ways. And by the way, I think I've seen that scene in the movie, in a few other movies, right? Criminal movies or crime movies. But the fact that it's real, I mean, it's obviously metaphorically speaking, or just an analogy. But the fact is, that's really it. If you go back, you're just going to be fighting and in the same position and getting excited. You might fall again. Now we have two people pushing you, not just one.
Right.
But if you run to the shore, you will learn to actually do your own thing and survive, and maybe have better things. Your kids are better for you, and that's it. Again, that you got to look for something else, another target, another objective in life, another goal that's going to make it worth it for you to make it to the shore and be happy. Ultimately, your life is important, but then I love it that. I mean, if I look at my kids, then my kids becomes everything here, and then I go to them. She decided or he decided to go this way, fine, go, bye-bye. Life moves on. But you're right. See, now you have learned this over time. Many people are still in that same, situation. They haven't learned this. And they don't think it's going to happen to them. They're not prepared for it. And when it happens, I mean, really, that's exactly what's happening every day.
Yeah.
You say that we hear in the news all the time. It's happening every day, folks. And by the way, it's happening all over the world, all cultures. Doesn't matter what you believe in. This is humanity. We all have these situations that happen. Divorces at a skyrocketing, level. Now, again, this is a sales show, but this is live, though. It's really relationship is selling as well. There's a lot of stuff, but these are the impacts that will make you, lose your grip on life and ultimately performance. And that's the thing. Like, so we are talking sales shop today, but really, salespeople are humans and they do a lot, and it's a pressured job. But everything in their life makes who they are and affects what they do and how they do it and when they do it and whether they do it successfully or not. You talked about PTSD, right? You talked about, everybody that's going in sales is not doing it when they're babies, right? They're doing it, after they do military, they do their life. They had a decent amount of life already behind, which has a lot of impact, a lot of things in their mind. There's a lot of impact already that's accumulated. So you go into the real world. Now you have a business or now whatever you do when you're selling, so on and so forth. But that stuff is still with you, and it affects how you perform, regardless. And we don't have to go that far back. You have an argument the day before at home. You go to work this morning in the morning, you're suck. I mean, you're gonna be cranky, you're gonna be snapping at people. If you have customers, you're not gonna be in the best mood to even meet with the customers. They're gonna read right through it, or you're gonna really flunk your pitch, right? It's not good for you. So again, adjusting this to make sure that you're ready. Like, it's funny, like I used to tell this in my trainings. Folks, whatever we have, our prejudices, our problems, our stuff, there's a box at the door. Dump that shit in there. Walk in here. You don't have anything. On the way out, you grab that stuff and start cursing the world if you want to. But while you're doing the functions, and believe it or not, I learned this trick a long time ago. So I worked for Disney, and in Disney World, they have we all like characters, in life. I mean, when you're in a park, everybody's on stage. Everybody is performing, and so there's literally backstage and stage. So you're either in the on stage, which means that you're in front of the public, or you're backstage. And so they teach you that in training. Like, let's say, once you open that door, you go in front of the public, our audiences, our guests. Guess what? And nothing else matters. I don't care if you had a fight in the back. You come out with a smile. Hey. And that's exactly. So I mean, seriously, that's exactly how we got
branding.
Trained. Right. That's it. And so what it does to you is it trains your mind to close all that bad stuff here and then just open up. It's almost having a double personality, but the people do not have to see that, and your performance should not be impacted by that. Now, it's easier said than done, because no matter what it is, it takes a lot of energy to actually keep all that stuff hidden. And your smile is up and running, right? So even if you have a fake smile, people can read through that. I mean, we can read someone that's phony, right? So
Right.
it's that kind of situation. But in sales, you have to do that. You're talking to people every day. folks that do customer service. I mean, you can't have a freaking bad day and go on the call with something like, yeah, what do you want? I mean, you can snap at somebody very quickly. That's why we have those reviews and stars. How did I do surveys? Because
Absolutely.
it's a deterrent, like you doing your best not to do this, right? But these are like things that we actually experience. I mean, in the business world, it's happening. You have to, literally take care of you mentally, physically, so you can be able to perform better and do better and work better with people. Because it doesn't matter, you're the CEO or you're the salesperson in a company, it's all the same. You're still performing, you're still meeting with people, still doing job, you still have an impact on other people, whether it's your employers, your customers, your colleagues, it's all the same. And your impact is gonna, even at work, you can snap at your colleagues, right? Now you have an HR issue. Now you
Well,
get fired.
that's why I say sales is a performance skill.
Hmm.
You don't have the benefit of coming in. If you're a graphic designer, you come in, you sit behind a computer for 8 hours and go home, you get your salary or hourly. Salespeople don't work like that. You don't have the benefit of having a demeanor, right? You got to come in and perform every single day, especially, I mean, for many years, for 5 years straight, I was commission only.
Ooh.
Like there was no lifeline. There was no 401k. There was no health plan. You just sold every day and got paid every week. And if you didn't sell, you didn't make any money. You had to draw and you had to pay it back. So when I actually came out of that for many years and I had a job, I remember one of the funny things because I grew up in I started in gym sales and then I moved to car sales, which was not for me. And then I did cold calling, and we are doing $180 a day, and I did that for years. I mean, it was like no computers. I tell people these things that you have right now are tools, just tools. Your Instagram, your fax machine, all these stuff is tools. Sales is sale, still hasn't changed. So I go from that for 3 years where I'm just calling like $180 a day, and I applied for a job as a headhunting firm. I remember this. And I went in and the guy was like, "You have an impeccable sales record." I'm like, "Yeah. I mean, I've been in a boiler room for 3 years, right?" And so 125 guys on the phone sound like you're at the stock market. That's how I lived for 3 years. Guy said, "Here's your desk." And he said, "We're going to start you off with 34,000." I said, 34,000. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, that's phenomenal." He said, "Why are you so excited?" I said, "You're going to give me 34,000 leads?" Because we had to fight for leads, right? Every day you had to fight for leads. He's like, "No,
35,000 salary.
no, you're gonna start you off at $34,000." I said, "For what?" He said, "That's your salary." I'm like, "For what?" I'm like, "I haven't done anything." Like he's like, I was brainwashed. I was like, "A salary? Who needs a salary? Give me 34,000 leads." Like, so you only got like one or two leads a day, and the rest you had to cold call for years. So you've been starving so much. Your mindset was like this. And when I got in there, I killed it. The guy's like, "You're killing it." I'm like, I came from the bottom of sales, cold calling. I mean, it was every day you were just pitching, 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 pitching. And you went from that to that's why I teach there's no such thing as a warm lead.
It's
Somebody
funny.
tell me a warm lead, I throw mud in your face. Like, what is a warm lead to you? Like, it's an assumption. There's no such thing as a warm lead. You work the lead, same every time, discipline. You get an assumption that it's warm, and then you don't get it. And I come to you, and I had guys, I ran teams. I'm like, guys, like, it's a warm lead. I'm like, "You got it?" He's like, "No, I didn't get it." I'm like, "Why?" Like, "Oh," I said, "Because you came in
It's
assuming
already pre-sold. Yeah.
that you already had it sold. You didn't go through the process. You got lazy." I'm like, "Where's the lead?" I'm like, "You do that again, you just need to go home for the rest of the day. There's no such thing as a warm," and that's why I came to the conclusion. No such thing as a warm lead. You work it just like you started. You start off in your sales process. You don't assume anything, and you make sure you're prepared, and you go through that. "Hey, Jim, so you ready to buy?" The guy's like, "Who is this?" Like,
Yeah, I'm listening to you, Ben. You took me back a few years, and I worked in the timeshare for a
"Oh,
minute.
those guys are." I love those guys. See, that's I'd say the top of the food chain in sales. They are right. I watched those guys. I'm on the street from Orlando. My cousin went down there and I watched the presentation. I went to a timeshare last year
Westgate.
in
Wait.
Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
And there I went down there and I'm like, and the guy was like, and I got my free 5 days, I got free, and these guys are like, and I didn't come in. I went with the funny thing, I went with my ex-wife and the kids. So I was like, you just stay here because I'll just let them know that one of the decision makers are not there. And I go in there and the guys are like, I mean, they're really, really good. And then in the end I had this young kid with nice shoes on, and I'm like, you're really good. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, do you know what I do for a living? He's like, you're a limo company. You own a limo company. I'm like, yeah, but I do something else. He's like, what? I was like, here's my book.
Ooh. Well, but it's interesting because when you talked about commission only, right, versus
Yeah,
salary.
yeah,
This happened to me. So I went in and literally same thing. That was a presentation, right? So
yeah,
I'm like, you sell this? Like, yeah. This sounds like I can do this. He's like, you want to work here? I was like, sure. So he talked to his manager, and the guy comes in like, you want to start? Start tomorrow. I was already in sales. I was already like managing a team,
right.
in the insurance space, but I wanted something more to do because I always looked, to learn and also make extra money.
Another
So
gig.
another gig. So and it's like you were young, you had the energy, it didn't matter, right? And you want to complement your salary so you can have whatever life. I mean, at the time, it was still after college, you're just getting started in career and you
Yeah,
want some money to get started. So for your business purposes, whatever you need capital. Anyways, and there was not a lot of stuff that's happening today where you can get these free, can make money here, there, online stuff. That wasn't the case. If you didn't work for it, you had to borrow it, right? So, so one or the other. But anyway, so I go in and he says, "Come in." I go in, and so they give me it was like $300 a week or something. But every sale I can make $500. You know, so I do the first day, and I did like three sales. I'm like, shit, take me off the salary. I think I don't want your salary. I just wanted the commissions only, and that's exactly what happened. They took me off I mean, it's not miserable as $300
draw.
at the time. It was still good. It was a draw. I'm like, I don't need that. I could do a lot more than that in a day, and that's exactly what I did. And for 7 months, I mean, we had the Top Gun, level. I
Yeah,
was number one. Seven. I used to like come up and talk to people like how it's done, and it was just like that. But I believed in the concept. I loved it. And at the time, it was really what it was. I mean, it
right.
changed over time. It became a lot more difficult. It changed. That today's timeshare is different from like how it used to be,
Yeah,
And it was attractive. And the ones that we had were like you can. It was not just the standard resorts. It was like campgrounds. It was all kind of different things, with
right.
water parks and stuff. So it was fun stuff for the family, and people really enjoyed that. And it was not expensive at the time, but it was worth it. So again, to your point, when you're hardcore sales, it's all about performance. If you're performing, even today, I mean, I'm in the insurance space, and frankly, sometimes we have captive and brokers, and it's really I tell people, as a broker, you don't have the salary, but all you need is 3 or 4 sales, and you have the salary. That's your base. You start
Right,
with those. Another fifth one is your insurance, and the rest is all your gravy. Again,
right.
it's how you look at it. And when we added the numbers, and I do it just as a comparative, I look at here's what you can make doing just commissions. Here's what you make with your typical base plus commission. When you look at the structures, you have a better shot actually at the commission than the other way. Now, people want, as you said, the cushion. I want that safety net. And that's really the hardest part. If you're really that hardcore, the safety net is yours. And in sales, every day is a new day. You get up, you do your max, you go for the max. You help. I always say, how many people are going to help today to help ourselves? Help
Yep,
ourselves by helping others. And if you believe in what you do, you go out, with a bang. Every day you have. Now, are you going to have some bad days? Of course. But you're only as good as the day. Yesterday's gone. You had a great performance yesterday. What's today? You wake up, it's a whole new day. And that's the other thing. People get stressed. I have targets, my quotas, my stuff. Forget all that shit. Okay. Your target is not what the company gives you. The company says you need to do 30 sales a month. Well, my target is 200 sales a month. I don't give, a crap what the company wants because I want to do more and more and more.
right.
It's my pocket that I'm looking for. I don't work
It's
for the
the
company.
mindset.
That's right. I don't work for I always say this, and I still say this. I work in corporate, I own companies. And I can tell you one thing. I've never worked for a company. Officially, I did. And so the way I present it is like, and I actually used to ask this question, would you like, and by the way, I'm asking this question right now on the show. Would you like to, if I give you $1 million, would you like to start your business? Or also I ask people like, would you start your business if you had money? Or what would stop you from not, starting a business? Usually they tell you money. So if I give you the money, would you start a business? Now, when you throw it that way, it's like you got like nine of the people's like, yeah, and one person's like, no. Okay, so that one is gone. And then you have those nine, right? And you know what? I tell them, guess what? You already have a business. You're You Inc. And the company is your capital. The
Yeah,
company is providing your salary, your tools, your settings, your overhead, your marketing tools, everything. They're giving you all the stuff that you would have to do if you had a business. So
right,
that's that money that you're looking for. The rest of it, you still, if you are the CEO of any company today, you still got to do your marketing, your sales, your pitch, you build the marketing strategy and stuff, getting the team together, work, your operations, your finances, all stuff. You're doing all that. In case of you working for corporations, you're still you. You run for
yeah,
yourself. I never work for a company. I work with a company.
right,
And basically they finance in my business, which is Me Inc. And that translates to your salary and your commissions and how much you make in a gross net. Now, that's the corporate way to think about it. Now, obviously, apply the same way in the entrepreneurship world and having business, it applies the same. But if you think that way, you never work for no one, you work for yourself. You work for
right.
your family. You work for number one. And that's, again, talking about mindset, that's what makes a difference. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, it was funny because you started with the analogy and the whole thing about the lake and the drowning, and we went this, but really, this is what sales is about, right? It is affected by everything we do, and you're gonna get a pitch, bad look, situation in life. You should not happen. You should not let that happen. You should not let that affect how you think, how your mindset operates. Now, I love that you showed the book. Let's talk about the book. What's the name of the book? Uh-huh. Master the art
Master
of
the art.
closing the sale. Ooh, let's talk about that. See, closing the sale is not easy. People have a problem with closing. People have a problem with objections. People have problems with closing. So let's talk about that. How do you convert somebody that has difficulty? I can talk to you, but when it
Right,
comes to like, hey, give me the money.
right,
Oops. That's usually what it gets down to, right? It's all about the money.
right. Well, the difference is what is the purpose of a sale?
Mm.
Do you know what the purpose of a sale is?
Well, it's a transaction. And, I'm giving a service. You're giving me the money. What's the
When a
purpose?
child asks you to pick them up and they go, pick me up, 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 pick me, and you go, whoa, whoa, stop, 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 stop. What
I've
part
been
of the
there.
sale are they doing? What part of the sale are they doing?
The whining.
The close.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I
So
mean,
they
you talk
skip
about
all
the
of the
sales process.
steps.
Yeah.
So we're born to sell. So children go all the way to the end. They don't care what's in for you. They're not doing an intro. They're not doing a qualification. All they do is close.
Straight up.
Right. So children are one of the best salespeople in the United States because of the aspect that they do that. Number two, the other best salesperson, I have four of them. Number two is a preacher because it's traditional. You go to church without your wallet,
Got to pay the dues, right?
it's traditional. So their sales process is a tradition. You know, when you go there, 10%, they started the 10% rule, right? Number three, the third best salesperson in the United States is
Where's
QVC and Home Shopping Network. Why? They know the customer more than they know themselves. They have a database back there of computers knowing exactly what you spend, when you spend, based on your age, what you bought beforehand, what you spent, what you normally spend. They have a demographic based on every product. That's why when they put the product on, they already know they're going to be successful. Then they'll add in certain tactics like scarcity, putting the number up there, we're running out, you get this, so on and so forth.
frame?
That's why they're still around, even though there's Amazon, they're still making money because people get excited and they know exactly when Miss Jane wants that purple quilt at 3 o'clock in the morning and how much she's going to spend because we already have our credit card information on file,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I
So
make
it's
it in
automatic
payments.
bank of money. Number four, best salesperson in the United States is a homeless person, right? You
Mm.
know why? Do you know how much a homeless person that has a good mind and a good area that they can be in to ask for money, how much they can make in a day? Not even a day. How much can they make in a day, you think?
I have no idea. A couple $100.
Between $300 to $800. That's why you don't see them
Oh,
out
time
there.
out, time out, time out. I think now you're going to interest us all in being homeless because that sounds like a lot of money, man.
No, 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 no. That homeless person can go out there and make $300 to $800 a day. When you ask a small business person, how much are you making per day? They'll tell you they're not making that type of money, right? Because $800 times 30, that comes out to like $14,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, right? Why are you not making that type of money? You have a fax machine, you probably got email, you have business cards, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have a website, you have all of these tools, but you're not making what he's making or her making. Why is that? That homeless person, the reason they're making that type of money is because they're what? Focus. They don't care what they look like. They don't care about opinions. They don't care about their family. They don't care how much rejection they take. They're out there. They make a little marketing sign. They just continuously ask, ask, ask. So the difference between that person, homeless person, and the business person, there is no difference. They're just focused. So a homeless person is kicking a business person butt every day. They just don't even know it. And you still give them money. That's why you don't see them out there every day, because they don't have a bill. They don't have a website. They don't come in and drink coffee and talk about the football game. They don't talk about the leads. They don't talk about any of that. They just go out there and sell and then go back. So when you get to your office, you're like, oh, what the website look like? Oh, how much money we have in the bank? Oh, the fax machine is down. Oh, do we have internet? Oh, do we have antivirus? Oh, should we get business cards? Oh, social media, should we post? All of this stuff distracts you from what the focus of the business is actually selling. So, number one, if you can close like a child, if you could be traditional like a church, or you know your customer more than they know themselves, or you could be focused like a homeless person. If you have any one of those traits, when I train you as a salesperson, you could be dangerous. But if you know all four of them,
You're the master. Well, I love that. It's amazing how you broke it down. And so you're right. I mean, we've had so many shows about sales and in trainings, and you're right. We do this every day. Everybody sells, and the kids are the best salespeople in general. They always get what they want. And I love what you said. Like the way you said, like, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up. I mean, they'll get annoying enough,
but you
to
ask a
really.
grown person to close 3 times, they start breaking in sweat and start having hives. Like, I can't ask again. Like, ask again. They're like, no. Because
Well,
what happened, we live in a Western civilization where as children, we learn to sell, then we go K through 12 and then go to college. And everything in a society teaches you to go get a job and earn what you want. Don't ask for it. Go get a college degree. Go make it. So when you want something, the only thing you really have to negotiate in life is a car and a house. And people don't like to go down and buy cars. I don't want to be pressured. So by the time you open up your own business and you realize you have to start asking like you're supposed to as a child, your sales muscle has atrophied so small. Your confidence level is just through the bottom. And you can't do it if people say, I don't want to do it, or they have negative connotation. They'll tell you a million reasons why they can't do it, don't want to do it, but you did it as a child. When you go overseas, you go to the markets over there, you realize they don't have any prices on the food and the produce. Everything is about negotiation, right? You walk over there,
and aggressive.
you see Americans, they all like this, like they're hounding me, like they're asking me, like, this is the way the world works. You live in a bubble where everything is a credit card, and if you can't afford it, you don't ask for it. But these are how things work in those 90% of the society in third world countries. You negotiate. And so people are afraid or haven't done it. So if you know how to sell in the United States, you become the 1% that I call the top dog that can negotiate everything, and your business becomes smoother. So your front line of your business is sales instead of marketing. Like I put these ads out and I make these pretty things. No, I get on the phone and can close, right?
Oh, well, so that's pretty powerful because there's always that whole marketing or sales. Which one is which? And everything, marketing is big. I mean, it's really marketing your brand, your products, you this, you being the face of people. But at the end of the day, the close is like everything revolves around that final stage, which is closing and getting the sale, getting the numbers, locking the consumer, the customer, whatever you want to call them. And that is actually the hardest thing. I mean, even in trainings, I mean, I do have when we do like like sales trainings, you know, yeah. And by the way, when you monitor people, you can see some people have a strong presentation. They can go through the whole thing. That can handle objections. Like no matter what you throw at them, they'll be like. But when it comes to like asking for the money, it's like So
You know why that is?
go
It's
ahead, go
because
ahead.
their self-esteem is telling them at the same time that they're in the present, because it's hard to do it while you're in the moment. Like it's like when you watch film, football players watch film. Why were you doing that? Why are you going that way? Like, dude, we're going 100 miles an hour. Like, and so the main thing is they're judging themselves. They're not letting the customer judge them. So they're like, did I do a good presentation? Ask for the money. And then meanwhile, you're on the other side. Ask for the money, close. And they're like, oh, but I don't know if I did good enough. Like, why are you asking yourself that in the middle of a sale? It's like stopping the car and getting out in the middle of a race. Like, why would you do that to yourself? And people do that. And then you're like, ask for the sale. And then the person on the other end is like, you're not going to ask for the sale? And they're like, oh, so you liked it? Like, oh my God, it's like a train wreck. It's like, what did you just do? Like, you better close. Like, it's so many different things, especially when you hear people, because I tell sales is a performance skill. Never practice on your clients. Role play. Figure out what you're doing, because their clients is not going to come back and give you feedback. And that's where
Uh,
people get messed up.
you're gonna lose them, and that's it.
Yeah. So even if you're in sales, every once in a while you got to get checked. That's what sales managers are for. That's what mentors are for. Like some of the things I tell people: record your calls. Do you record your calls? No. How do you know what you sound like?
Well, that's an excellent point, because part of the sales training is calibration of calls. You actually listen,
Yeah.
you bring them in, and when there is something in training, I throw that in as like, hey, what do you think was wrong? Oh shit. And you'll be surprised. People will start seeing like, oh man, why did I say that? I should have said it differently. I really had it right there. And by the way, I do more than just I do visual recordings, like even like
Yes.
really the emotions and
Oh,
stuff. And
facial.
like
Yeah.
you'll do the whole thing. And then when they see themselves like, man, I really screwed that up. And that's okay. It's constructive, training here. It's like
Yeah.
not like, oh my God, you suck. No, how can we get you better in your performance? And you get that. But you're right. It gets to that point where you're like starting to doubt, like, did I do a good job? And that's where you said confidence. You gotta be super pumped about who you are and how your pitch is, and you need to know your shit. That's the other thing. You got
Yeah.
to be prepared, as you said, going back to that being prepared. You know your
Yeah.
stuff 100%. Your mental state is good. Your physical stamina is good. Your vibration out there. No like business in your mind. You're
Yeah.
straight up. You're coming in. All you need to do is focus. As you said, you're that homeless, with no. And by the way, we're not making fun of homeless people. Just for the people that can love to criticize and anything. I understand
No,
something.
they learn the gig is up. They're like, man, we're making, but that's why they sit under the tree with their cell phones and they're good. They like they live it. They're like they don't. That's why they say they don't need to be out there every day. What are you gonna do with $800 when you don't have any bills? You're good. So that's why they say why we don't see them out there all the time is because they don't need that much. Imagine if they were out there every day and they're like, so the homeless person like, I don't want to deal with bills. And so if I sat out here every day and made all this money, that means I have to go get an apartment. I mean, I have to be responsible. And some people just don't want to be responsible. So it's easier for them just to get a little bit and live off. And they sit under the tree while people in the car are looking at them like feeling bad for them, stressed out about this bill they got to pay, can't close a sale worth of nothing.
But again, talk about the focus. But you said it best is that they don't have all the other stuff to worry about, and they have nothing to lose. They
But
actually
still getting better results financially than most people, the dollar amount, because they're asking. They're asking. Maybe if you sit at a corner with a sign, how many cars would go by in 3 hours? What, maybe 3, 4, 500 in 2 hours? And you can't get on the phone and talk. Like I tell people, get on the phone, pick up the phone and call. Oh, what should I say? Like, call them. You should like so. That like I said, I went to boot camp in the Marine Corps, and I went to boot camp in sales when I was in that boiler room every day. It was like 180 something dials a day. Like, how many no's did you get out of that? Maybe like 180. So, that's what made you successful, is being able to take the rejection. And when you wasn't doing things right, they would record you. They'll take you in and play the tape. Like, where are you going with this? Like, and they'll tell you, like, take you off the phone. Like, the reason your sales is down is because you're missing this. Let's readjust it, go back into training, get back on the phone. So it's the same thing. It's a repetitious type deal, and people not willing to be in the game. It's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not, and it's not for everyone, and that's why there's just it takes a certain breed of humans to actually do it. Although, like you said, everybody does sales in general, but
Yeah,
some get better at it, than others, and they're focused, and those that are focused, they make killings, they make it happen. And that's the other thing. If you're in business, you're also in sales.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. You can't just run a business and there's no sales. I mean, that's what makes the money, is that close of your product, your service, whatever it is. Your lawyer is selling. You're a doctor, you're selling. You're a pharmacist, you're selling. You're an entrepreneur, you're selling. You're a retail person, you're selling. Doesn't matter. Your online business, you're selling. You're a podcast, you're selling. Everybody is selling something, and they need something in exchange. They need to close. So it's an important. I mean, we're on a show. It's about your promotion. It's about your work. It's about your book. It's about what you do, your services. And that's really the pitch. There's nothing wrong with it. And guess what? It makes sense. There's no difficulty accepting that, because it actually makes sense across, the presentation.
So to
And
get the
that's
people to understand that mindset is like really important to understand. That's what the game is, right? Because they don't know what it's about on the other end. What is the results? If I do sales, how much am I going to make all these times? Which creates anxiety, right? So people will be anxiety about things they don't know about. So the mindset is understanding the impenetrable. You have to figure out what you're going to be selling when you get into that point, but being able to sell is the key component. I've had guys that I've taught years ago who are on their third job from then, and they finally found what they were really good at and what niche, and they finally killed it. It's so even though you could sell it, doesn't mean you're going to be happy, right? You gotta like it, love it, because we have what's called gigs. We'll go from a job to a job. Oh, how much commission? I mean, I look at on Indeed every once in a while, I see these jobs $150,000, and I'm like, man, you can go in there and knock that out. A seasoned veteran that knows sales can go in there, but would you like the culture? Do you like the people you work with? Or I went to some
I like the
jobs where
service.
you
Yeah.
you went on Friday and the doors were locked. The company went out of business. You're like, what? No check for me, right? So the hard times of sales when you're selling and gunning, you're out there selling for anybody. You're just trying to make a living, and that's why I look at it like acting. You get the bug, the sales bug, right?
You do. It becomes your DNA. Well,
It
here's the
becomes
thing.
your deal.
You did the hard sales. Telesales is one of the most brutal business in the sales world. That and
Yeah,
door to door. I mean, if you do door to door and telesales,
yeah,
you're ahead of the game. I mean,
yeah,
and no leads. You're doing hard sales, meaning that you're not getting cold leads, or like you're being an order taker. You're doing the work. You're really grinding to get that person to say yes and take the deal, and you're willing to take the rejection as part of the deal. You got to
yeah,
get no's. As they say, salesmanship begins when the customer says no. I mean, it's an old saying, and basically, it is as antiquated as it sounds. But the fact is, people are going to say no, and you need to expect that.
yeah.
It's the no by default. As a matter of fact, that this is a question I asked about, that somebody had sent us about, like, my kids are always set to say no by default. Whatever I ask them, no, that, and then psychologically speaking, no is a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
the way it was broken down, no is actually what gets you going. Why not? Where, and so it gives you an open discussion now. Like, you can, they just open the door. Come on in, have a seat. I mean, really, that's what it is, right? It's not a cut, and dry. No, no. So some people get to that. No, okay, click.
Yeah.
Or like, okay, have a good day. No, like, there is a reason that no happened.
Well,
There
it's a
is
knee-jerk
something that's
reaction for some people. So it's an instant, like, I'm not going to be a lay down, right? They call a lay down. I'm not going to, and most people don't know how to negotiate, right? Negotiation and things of that nature. There's certain cultures that are good at that, like the Indian culture, the Jewish culture. They teach their children to negotiate everything, right? We don't have that. So when you get on the phone, they negotiate. You already know the tactic that they're going to use based upon the person that you're dealing with, right? So you get somebody from New York, they're going to be tougher than somebody from Alabama. Alabama will be more about friendship. It'll be so who you're talking to. You try to relate to those people, which is my third step, was called connect and relate, right? You need you find some commonality, because I'm gonna ask you tougher questions to save us time to figure out if I can help you. And most people don't. They just assume that this pitch is gonna do it every time, and they do the numbers game. That's why they have auto dialers and people that rotate. They're just doing numbers. They pitch, 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 pitch. They're not digging in, figuring out if you can help them. And that's what I teach, is that type of selling. And I use it like this. If you want to learn to fight, you can open the yellow pages and go to a ton of dojos. The main thing about it, you can use my sales process, anybody else sales process, but does it work for you? So if it's going to work for you, you have to learn how to do it, right? So one of the things I tell people is not only the fact that I can do sales, but I can teach it. And that's the important part, is being able to teach it, right?
Well, again, you got decades of it, and from the hardcore, and you've learned every single trick, you've trained it, and it makes you a different, personality in terms of the sales, world and realm, because it is a world on its own. I mean, it's psychology 101, it's emotions, it's strategy, it's art, it's science. There's every single thing that's available in there. You will probably have to do it when you're in a salesperson, and you'll succeed if, to your point, you can find the right niche and you have the right drive behind it and the motivation. But again, if you don't, we have services, we have people. That's what we have. Ben can help anyone that actually needs that guidance, whether through the coaching, the mindset, the shifting, how you think, and so on and so forth. There is, that now the book is part of the train, or that's separate, people can get as well, just
It's a part of it. It gets them started. And I tell people, this is just theory. This is theory. Sales, you don't have the convenience of capitalizing on theory. It's a skill. You have to actually do something. So most of the people I work with have like 10 sales book in the back, but they can't pitch. So it's just
well, listen, I hear you, bro. It's a tough world, and you're
yeah,
right. Having books is great, but they are educational. They teach you the framework, right? The foundations. But if you don't put it to work, and you exercise it and you practice it, it's not gonna happen. You can teach anything to everybody unless they do it physically. It's not the same.
it's not the same.
Physical practice. I mean, it's like you can go to med school, but if you never actually operate on someone, that's a problem.
That's why you do need internships, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's live stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And the same thing in sales. So you need to be under somebody to grade you, to make sure you. That's why they call it journeyman. When you become a plumber, you apprenticeship
That's a
program.
lot of hours.
Right. So before you actually do anything, you have internships for doctors. You're not going to go operate right off the bat. You're going to watch and see how it happens, and so the same thing should be applied for sales, for people that's going to get into that, because jumping into the fire is why they jump right back out. Not for me. They'll tell you all day, nope, I did it for a while. Don't want to do that. Can't do that. Don't, miserable. And I'm like, that's the problem.
They do it for the wrong reasons, and the reason is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the wrong reason. It's always the good reason. You want to do it to make a living, to pay your bills, to have
Right.
to do your family. But really, is it really the right reason? I mean, that reason remains. You're doing it because it's temporary, it's a fix, but you're not doing it because you enjoy what you're going to do, and therefore, to your point, you're going to be back again into the first start point, and just trying to find another way to get, to make a living. But if you understand it and you feel it, that's the thing. You said it best. Once you're in sales, you're good at it. Doesn't matter what product service, you're always going to find a way to sell. You're going to sell something to somebody. I mean, we make the joke, sell this to ice to Eskimo, water to fish, whatever those expressions, and that actually is true. It's in you. Like you talk to someone, if they're really true salespeople, you will know. And by the way, if they're really good, you will not even see it coming. It's going to be so like, what the hell just happened? You'll just take over the discussion and guide the discussion and get, the responses. I mean, I always give one of the best salespeople on the planet are lawyers. They can actually get an innocent person incriminated and a criminal, exonerated. So imagine what that looks like. I mean,
so I use that as the analogy. Why? Because they ask questions, right? They don't assume. And so the difference between a good and a great salesperson is the number of questions that you ask. So are you confident enough to ask the questions? And most people are not. And so your confidence has to be high to ask those tough questions. If I could, would you? I mean, today, are you willing to move forward to get out of the pain and the anguish that you have? Let me ask you a question. Is the main tool that you use as a salesperson? Let me ask you a question. And that's what a lawyer does. And that's why he does it on the stand. But you said, same thing when you get your word to close. You're ready to move forward. I got to think about it. But you told me earlier this and this, right? And you also told me that, right? So it's not really a close. It's if
But
you ask enough questions, you're regurgitating exactly what he told you he agreed to. So now it goes back to moral. So you're telling me you like that, right? And you like that, right? Let's get you started. Like, where are you gonna run? You already told me that, right? I didn't assume. You told me that, right?
I love that because when I give the example of the timeshare, right? You go to
Yeah,
timeshare, they do that
yeah,
survey. How like do you travel? What do you do? What would you like to do? And you spend like 20 minutes. And by the way, that's actually real sales. You want to ask all the questions to if you get all the yeses in that front, then no later becomes difficult to actually pitch because as you said, they say, well, but you love to travel. You go 5 times a year, man. You know, oh, you
yeah.
basically you actually close in
Close
that news.
yourself.
Yeah, it's actually like, ooh, it's getting rough. They get sweaty, right? But that's all of us, folks. And that's reality. In relationships, it works. In personal, relationship, in friendship, it works. In the business, it works. In the medical, everywhere. But if you don't ask the right questions, you don't make the assessment. Consultants do it best. I mean, you do a lot of assessment to figure out what's going on because when you pitch in, this is the plan. This is where we're going to go.
Yeah,
No one's going to question it because everybody, you told us X, Y, Z, and it's not working. And this is why it's not working. Now I'm going to tell you what we're going to do to change that. Coaches do the same.
yep,
Psychiatrists do the same. You ask the questions to get the right, information. Give me the tools so I can help you. That's what you do. And if you can deliver that, now there are mistakes that are happening. Some, wannabe salespeople, and this is I really mean the wannabes because they're not really true sales hardcore people. They just go through the pitch. They don't even. By the way, in my interviews I do that. I actually, when I hire for salespeople, I actually give them a role play, and like the old thing with give somebody the pen. Well, I used that back in the days, but I've explored it to like so I know the resume or whatever they're working. I don't
right.
even go to the pen. It's like so you are still working. Let's assume you're still working in a company. Well, guess what? I'm your customer. We are at this location. Let's talk. And you have an appointment. You just made it. Walk in here and let's role play. Like you're really, hi, how you doing? Get excited about it. Don't tell me what you're gonna do. Let's do it together. And so you get in, and then at the end, I'm like, all right, well, here's the thing. And so what I hate is that when they come in, and it's like, all right, well, so this is what we're gonna do for you. This product is gonna give you this. Like, yo, I mean, and then I ended quickly. It's like, all right, well, listen, let me tell you something. That is not how it goes. You have no clue what I want. You just asked to be here. You're here. I give you the opportunity, and you got zero knowledge about what I want and what I do and what I need and what my really requirements are. And you went right to tell me all your features of your product. I don't need your features. And by the way, if that's the other thing, features. Everything has a feature. What does that mean to me? What's my benefit from it? And if you don't see a
Yeah, your
benefit,
emotional. I teach you emotional trigger. What is your emotional reason for being here? Why am I having a conversation with you? Why?
Mhm.
Should we be talking? There's a reason that we're having this conversation, right? So let's figure out what that is so we can figure out the benefit of our time because I tell people your time is your most valuable effort. And getting to the next potential client, you're sitting there pitching somebody who you're never going to sell. You didn't even know it. You're just going through the motions and burning a lot of energy. By 3 o'clock, you're back chugging coffee. Like, what's wrong? I'm just tired. Like, you've been pitching all day.
Uh,
You're
so, so you gotta love this. You gotta love it. So I worked in the company, and so as I'm the lead, sales there, and then so I'm assessing all the stuff. So I look at the script, and I'm like, the script goes through the whole presentation, and at the end they start asking about the core things. Do you have a because we're in the medical stuff? So
reverse.
yeah, let me see your doctors. Like you just spent 45 minutes with someone, and then they tell you my doctor is not on the network. Well, what the hell? I mean, who the hell designed this particular? I mean, the first thing I want to know is who your doctors, your drugs
Yeah.
and stuff. If I don't have
Qualification.
those, yeah, if I don't have those, I can't help you to start with. So therefore, it's over. Why is it not in the beginning of the pitch? And it's at the end, like when you're ready to close, and well, you actually close now. You're gonna take the application. Yeah,
Right.
let me have your doctor, Doctor Schmidt. Oh, we don't have them. Well, it's an HMO. You need a PCP. You need a primary doctor. You can't have the doctor, and you're not going to be able to enforce that change. I'm like, what the hell? Like, so I was like, I'm just a real example of that happened. I'm like, how the hell did you even design this presentation? Or like
Yeah,
people in the street, they're talking to people and they get into the benefits. You got this, you got this. Like, do you know if these people even live here? Oh, I live in Pennsylvania. What did you ever get to bother to ask? I mean, they just visited. I mean, you need to get all your basics up front so you can help, and got whether, like you said, is this even a client? Because this is not for you. It's not going to happen. Now, can I be a superstar and push somebody that lives on Mars to actually buy my products?
yeah,
That's far fetched. I mean, some people can sell, that to no one, right? You can sell the
right,
moon. Yeah, listen, there's properties for sale on the moon. Would you like to buy some? There are people actually selling property on Mars right now. So, and
sure.
people are buying. But the bottom line is you need to do the right thing. So, anyways, we've exceeded our dude. I mean, this was fun. I had fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And yeah, so how can people reach out to you, Ben? And
My main website is 360salesconsulting.com, but there's two ways to reach me. Most of the people are Instagram. It's Ben Brown TRE is where you can follow me there if they want to follow me for advice and things of my lifestyle or what's going on and what I'm doing. And then I have the URL meetwithbenjamin.com. So meet with Benjamin, you can click on, go there, and you can schedule a call and get an assessment to figure out if I can help. So whether it is a divorce or coming out of the military or trying to figure your life out, or got a sales job or you got a company and you need to learn the sales process, I handle all of that. The main thing we focus on is your physical part first, figuring out what that is and then getting into the lead aspect of it, of building a sales process if you don't have one. And that's what you need. So when you hire people, you already have an SOP, standard operating procedure, so you can have your company grow without you being there. And that's what you need. And most people, first thing I ask them, do you have a sales process? They just look at me and I'm like, oh, problems. So you have to have a standard operating procedure, how you sell people so you can grow. If you can't, then it just doesn't work. So that's what you need to do.
what's your time frame? Like if someone joins your program, how long does that, look like?
Normally with people, it takes about 35 days for the light to come on. If you've been in sales
I
before,
love that.
it's I can scream it at you for weeks and weeks and weeks. And finally, I just noticed over years working with people, around about 30 days, they'll try it and they'll go out, it worked. I can't believe it. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And they go, the light, now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why I do that. I'm like, now I know why I should do that. Right. And it's just them having to have the trust in your mentor and trust that you're doing the right thing and it comes out. And so I love, that's like a mini orgasm when that person finally goes, I I got it. And I'm like, now you understand what sales is. And they're like, the whole world's open up. I'm looking at everything differently. Like everything's a sale. And I'm like, yes, welcome to the matrix. And so they understand that it's all around them everywhere. And they can use it in their personal life as well as their business life with their children. Everything is a sale. And so if you look at it that way, when you go to work, it's not even work. It's just you being a person that has you're in a good standing, you have, good ability, and you're the best person it is, and you're selling all the time. So when you go to work, it's not even work anymore. You're just having conversations, but you're selling. So you're not forcing it. You're not like pitching. You're just selling. So when you go home, it's the same thing. Honey, what we have for dinner? Let me ask you a question before we get into that.
You practice what you preach, huh? Well, it's funny because if you look at do your due diligence, folks, and look at success stories around the world, right? A lot of these people who had a sales job in their career path somehow. They
Yep.
were salespeople or they learned sales, and one of the things that is recommended if you start a business, learn sales, because you can be a marketer, but not a salesperson. See that you can do the marketing is like what to do, how to get attention, but
Right.
that's still not going to close. Maybe a small percentage. I can tell you one thing. I mean, I've had millions of dollars spent on marketing in corporations, but your lead flow is less. I mean, you're not getting a lot of. You can send thousands of cards and you can do all these boosts and stuff, and you got to get a few calls in, and then you got to convert those calls, right? So it's at the end is that conversion ratio that you
Right.
want, that the close ratio, and it's very, the numbers are staggering, like big numbers. It's like 10-3-1 rule, right? You talk
Right.
to 10 people, you get three interested and one closes.
Yep.
I mean, that's an old, again, formula, but it applies. But if you're the salesperson, you get three people, you're going to close two or three max, right? Because you're going at 75, to 150% at least ratio of close. And so you have to build that. But if you do that and apply in business, when you hire people that are going to do sales, you can also be able to pitch that. And if you have a business, you're going to go and pitch your services somewhere. People need to see why they're going to get your software or whatever you have, right? And
Right.
if you don't have the ability to present it as you're the CEO of the plant, of you're the owner of this company or whatever, then you got a problem, right? Because they're not going to buy from you. You might hire someone that can do the job. But again, if you don't, that's what we have you, Ben. So people can reach out and get the coaching that's needed to get them to the next level and really make that extra money that they need to boost up their business. So Ben, it's been real, man. It was fun, dude. We've covered a lot of grounds here. I mean, I have to say, you know, we went from psychology to personal matters to stuff, but fitness, nutrition, and we got into the deep core sales. Where really the purpose of the show was. So thank you so much for really taking us through the journey and sharing with us your real expertise and your talent and skills here. I mean, because that's important. And of course, now we have you as a resource. Any last words you want to part our audiences with today?
Remember, if you like it or love it, sell it.
All right, I'm good. That's good, baby. I take it. Well, thank you, man, for this hour, and change. It's been terrific. And folks, here you go. So if you're out there doing whatever you're doing, sales is part of your life, and any of the stuff that you learned today, you can apply. And if you really need more of it, guess what? We have again Ben once again. Reach out to him through his site, to his Instagram, and just get to know him, and maybe you can use his services to help you. And if you have a company of sales training that's required, maybe again Ben can come in. Where you are located, Ben?
I'm in Tampa, Florida. So yeah, I have built sales teams from companies that had no sales. So I've hired, built the entire deal, brought in a manager, and give them the keys to the car. So that's a project. That normally is about a 6 month project to do something like that. So I did that a couple of times. That's a lot of work though. But yeah, I've done it the extreme as far as doing that. I just rather work with individuals. It's that's a lot of work.
But you only do. I mean, you do this remotely as well. So obviously, people
Yeah,
can
yeah, a
reach out
lot
to
of
you.
Zoom calls worldwide. So I just set it up and do a lot of one-on-one coaching. So that's what like I tell people, you better get me now because like getting Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone's like $10,000 an hour if you want to sit down with him, like just to sit down with him, 1 hour. So that's why I said, one-on-one coaching. I still love to do it. It's only so much you can do. So it's just a lot of energy to get people up to that type of vibration, right? So, but I love doing it right now. So better get in when you get in.
All right. All right, Ben. Thank you so much. Well, there you have it, folks. This has been real. You know what to do. I'm your host, Eric Nage. Hope to see you guys next time. New day, new show and topic, no guest. Bye for now.